So, welcome, Ashi. Welcome to this interview round. Me and Prerna will be interviewing you, and welcome to this panel. How are you? Just tell me if you are
I'm doing
comfortable.
very well, Gaurav. Thank you so much for asking. Hi, Prerna. Hi, Gaurav.
Hi. So, Prerna, I'll let you get started. So, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Gaurav. Yeah, Ashi, thank you for joining this session today, and really excited to have you. So, just wanted to have
Thank you.
yeah, welcome. Just wanted to have you a brief idea about overall your background from education and I would say experience point of view.
Mhm.
So, yeah, can you please elaborate?
Sure. As I've mentioned earlier, my name is Ashi, and I've completed my undergrad from ICFA University in India. My bachelor's is in BBA LLB, that's Business Administration and Law. So it's a dual degree which I have completed. And I have about 5 years of experience working as a business analyst. So during this period, I have worked in various domains such as banking and life insurance, as well as healthcare. My most recent project, or rather the current project which I'm working on, is with UMass Memorial Hospital. So basically, as part of their expansion, they wanted a subscription-based information sharing system which would allow their providers affiliated with UMass to provide a more streamlined workflow for their patients and also quality care for their patients. So this current project which I'm working on follows the agile methodology, and our team consists of the project manager, the front-end developer, the back-end developer, a database admin, and of course myself as the business analyst. So usually when I start off with any projects,
Mm-hmm.
as a business analyst, I focus, of course, on requirement gathering.
Mm-hmm.
So I always like to start off with document analysis. And during this stage, I like to gather my requirements through going through the organizational charts or the user manuals or various previous requirement documents that have been created. So at this stage, I also use SQL because
Okay.
most of these documents are created from databases. So I prepare my analysis. So at this stage, I use simple queries to, elicit and filter data to get my requirements. Once I'm done with
Okay.
that, I interact with various stakeholders through interviews or chat sessions or workshops because I try to get their perspective, what is their understanding, what they feel their needs are, and try to get requirements from their perspective. And after I've collected all the information and analyzed it, it is then that I formulate the requirements to the final stage. So after this, I proceed to documenting them in the form of VRDs, FRDs. I also prepared requirements traceability matrix. And in case of
Mm-hmm.
agile methodology, which is this current project which we are following, I've documented them in the form of user stories. So apart from this, I do also have experience with Tableau, wherein I've created simple dashboards to basically provide an analytical understanding. So yeah, that's a little bit of myself.
Okay, so that's quite interesting. So my first, question out of interest is how come your, I would say, divergent from being into law, I would say a stream to the IT. Like, how did it happen, or it was a conscious decision, and how are you finding it?
Well, actually, the reason I had to divert into IT, I think, is because of getting married. I had to shift to the States, and I think I didn't because of the US follows a federal system, so the law changes from state to state. So if in case we had to change states here, I would have to redo my LLM and clear my bar in a different state, which is why I think I thought I'll jump into IT. And I think one of the advantages of doing BBA LLB is that it's a dual degree. So I do have an experience both in business as well as law. But law always has helped me in, I think, in document analysis, because that's one of the main focus areas when we prepare various agreements and all that. We need to do a deep dive into the various laws to make sure that each and every clause that we've put down is ironclad. So I think that helps me in the requirement gathering stage.
Okay, thank you for this update. So I just wanted to kind of have this understanding that how does your documentation background helps you in your BA work? Like what kind of components or elements you have in your BRD or FRD, or how do you proceed with preparing BRDs? You know.
Just to clarify the question, you're asking what are the contents of the BRD document that I prepare?
Okay, so basically what I asked is you mentioned that your law degree or your law study did help you in lot and documentation part, right? So yeah,
Yes.
how does that help you, and how what all contents you have or elements you have in BRD, or how in short you go ahead with preparing a BRD? What's the process?
So with respect to your first part of the question, if I were to give an example, if I were to prepare a share purchase agreement, the various aspects that as a lawyer I would look at is what are the security laws, whether that particular transfer can be made between the two parties, what are the rates, whether it's agreeable or not, things like that. So when I'm doing document analysis, also when I'm gathering requirements, I focus on each and every line as to whether this requirement is something that's feasible. For example, sometimes these previous requirements may not be feasible in the present projects, that they might be outdated. I pay attention to these minute details when I'm capturing them. Coming to the second question with respect to what are the contents of a BRD, so each and every organization has its own format structure, but more
So
broadly
your
speaking,
organization, sorry for interrupting, your organization does have a format for BRD. Can
yes,
you
it
just
does.
elaborate the contents of it? Yeah.
So our organization follows the following format. We start off with the purpose. This is followed by the scope, then the business and stakeholder requirements, and then what is the need for the development. And this is followed by the assumptions and finally the grocery.
Okay. Any kind of diagrams do you incorporate in it, or how do you go ahead?
So the diagrams are usually captured in the functional requirement document. The BRD, this particular company focuses more on uh, the high level requirements in the BRD, and the diagrams are more captured in and any mock-ups that we prepare are captured in the FRDs.
Okay, so have you prepared any particular diagrams, or how you associate those diagrams with the requirements? Can you name a few?
So I have experience in creating activity diagrams and use case diagrams and context diagrams.
And
Uh, so
what kind of purpose you use that, as in how it helps you in your documentation?
These diagrams basically show they're used as supporting documents. For example, the activity diagram is used to show the flow of events from the start to the end, the flow of events. The use case diagram, on the other hand, shows the interaction between the users and the system and the use cases. So these are basically supporting documents that we use. Of course, these are used in waterfall methodology projects. But yeah, this is how, but they're usually used for this purpose.
Okay, so even agile, you're actively using that, right? And what kind
Yes.
of agile ceremonies or agile, I would say events that you are a part of or you conduct, if any?
So I am part of they're basically for the sprint, which is a container of all these events, has 4 events which takes place, starting off with the Scrum planning, the daily Scrum, the sprint review, and the sprint retrospective. as a business analyst, I'm part of all four of these ceremonies. So the sprint planning is usually it takes place at the beginning of a sprint, wherein the whole sprint is planned out. It's basically an 8-hour meeting usually. If it's for a 4-month, 4-week sprint, if it's a shorter sprint, it's a sort of shorter time span. So during this meeting, of course, we have the development team on board, and we have the key stakeholders and the Scrum Master and the product owner. So during the sprint planning session, we basically drill down on what exactly we want to achieve during the sprint. We prepare the sprint backlog, and we focus on what the sprint goal is. This
So
is
does your
followed by.
sorry for intervening. So does your documentation help during this time as per your understanding, or how do you manage? Let me rephrase my question. How do you help the development team to get closer understanding of your requirements with your documentation? Yeah.
So these BRDs and FRD, as I've mentioned earlier, BRD is a business requirement document. It captures the high level requirements. It doesn't drill down specifically onto the most minute details. It sort of provides a focus area on a sort of a broad idea of what exactly we want to accomplish. And it's used as a guide. And based on this guidance, we drill down into what specific features we want to accomplish in a particular sprint. For example, if I were to take the example of UMass Memorial itself, uh, the
Mm-hmm.
main BRD, the main business goal is, of course, to develop a subscription-based information sharing system. So our
Mm-hmm.
first sprint would mainly focus on maybe creating the first page, which would capture features such as the login page, or a page containing the patient details, what particular documents they can upload, one or two features. It sort of drills down. One particular sprint only works on one or two or four features like that. So this BRD basically
Okay.
acts as a guide, overall guide for it.
Overall guide to the development team as well. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Ashi, thank you for these information. Gaurav, would you like to go ahead?
So yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Prerna. So I have a couple of questions to you, Ashi, and great answers so far. So you have mentioned about few domains, like you have worked in healthcare, life insurance, and banking sector. Tell me
Mhm.
what part of means project you were involved into banking sector, what you were supposed to do, what did you do, and what was the project? Tell me something about it.
So Gaurav, my very first project, I've worked actually in one banking sector project that was in ICICI Bank back in India. So that was during my final year of law. So it was sort of like a part-time project that I was basically working on. So an ICICI Bank, basically what we had to do was basically develop a system wherein it was, as you know, that ICICI Bank has branches all across India, right? So what we were preparing was a client information warehouse project, wherein the employees everywhere, all across India, wherever the branches were, they would be able to access the various information regarding a client's holdings, position, loan, investments, or loans that they want to issue. So this was basically for that purpose. So this was the only project that I worked in the banking sector.
So it's quite a long time. It's been 5 or 6 years now. So
Yeah, almost.
yeah.
Yes.
So I heard you saying that for the loan part, when some investment was there, so you were in. So what exactly your role was there?
So basically, at that stage, since I was a junior business analyst, my focus area was I assisted my seniors in requirement gathering and requirement elicitation stage, and assisted them in preparing the documents and such, and as well as yeah. So
Okay.
it was at that
Great.
capacity.
And how you were involved in the healthcare?
So healthcare, my current project UMass is a healthcare, as you can see, it's a subscription-based information sharing system. So this is the healthcare project which we're working on. So here we need to look at, so when we upload patient details or anything like that, we need to keep in mind the various laws and all that. So this is of course a healthcare sector. So what kind of information can be uploaded, and we also need to ensure that the whatever files we are sharing on the files between affiliated providers, it is secure because they are of after all confidential details of the patients, right? So we need to ensure that they are properly protected.
All right. And can you quickly tell me for life insurance, how were you involved? What all things you know related to life insurance?
So for life insurance, Gaurav, I think the project which I've worked on is with Guardian Life Insurance, which I think it was my the third project, I believe. And basically, in Guardian Life Insurance, what we were required was to prepare a software which provided with the products, various life insurance products to customers online. So in today's fast-paced world, there it's very difficult for agents to go personally to each and every person and get their information, fill in details, and get approve forms and all that. So in the project involved with Guardian Life Insurance, the project was to develop a software wherein clients would be able to upload their documents online. They would be able to check what are the various features of the various life insurance products that we had, select what they're comfortable with, and then go forward with uploading the documents, then approval. So it was basically to shift it from a manual state to a online state.
Okay. So thank you so much for answering so far. So I have a quick question. So you were mentioning initially that writing of SQL queries when it comes to, something which relates to requirement even as well. So simple SQL query, what do you mean by that?
So queries to basically filter data, for example, I would say things like the select function, selecting data from all the data, or selecting specific tables, like for example, just the customer name and the or maybe the address, or maybe the location where they live at. So the select function, or the where, the conditional functions such as where, between, and to basically so the queries which I've written is basically to filter data to basically analyze a particular point. For
Okay.
example, if I were to say retrieve data only with respect to customers in a particular location with a particular amount which they have spent. So the query would be select customer table from, for example, XYZ table, wherein using the where condition, the wherein location equals to so and so,
Oh,
and
got you.
price equals to so and so,
Yeah.
like that.
So
Simple
just
queries.
yeah, sure. So just let me know that if there are two different tables and we have to join in
Mhm.
a, there are two different tables. If we need to join them in one, so can you do that?
Yeah, if the two tables had to be joined on one specific point, I would use an inner join. If I want to join the entire tables as a whole, like then I would have used an outer join. Yes.
Okay, awesome. So, great, Ashi. One last thing I would like to ask you, last couple of things. So,
Yes.
one, suppose we are going to hire you and we ask you to perform business as a business analyst, but whenever it is required, we would see you. managing some user story, some roadmap in Jira, because here also we use Jira, and I believe that you have already worked in Jira. So have you?
Yes.
And tomorrow we are thinking to migrate into Azure DevOps. So do you have any idea about how does Azure DevOps work? Have you ever worked on it?
I've not personally worked on Azure DevOps,
Okay.
Gaurav, but I'm a quick learner, and even right now, my personal understanding is you cannot know all the technology out there. There's a lot of technology, but I feel that I am a constant learner. I pick up technology quickly, and even right now, after learning Tableau, my next project is to learn about BI and Azure DevOps, because
Super.
that is also one of the in tools right now. So I'm very sure that I will be able to catch up and deliver in that particular field as well.
Definitely. Last thing, say for example, you are outside somewhere in grocery store. Okay,
Hmm.
you have bought something. You came home. Okay, and there is no light in your house. Okay, and but you know that you have to uh, have a cold juice from your refrigerator. You want to sit outside room, your refrigerator
Hmm.
is in kitchen, and you have only two rooms. Okay, and you have got sofa, you have to sit in sofa
Hmm.
and start enjoying your juice, cold chill juice, because you have come from the grocery store, you have done some shopping. Now you have got down in front of your home. So tell me, in the stepwise manner, how you, at the end, the objective is that as a thirsty user, you want to start enjoying um, sip of juice sitting in sofa. So can you just break it down in a step-by-step manner? You have just now landed outside your home. You are standing, and now the outcome I have shared with you. Please break it down in the.
So yeah, as soon as I come to the front door, I take out my keys, I open the front door,
Mhm.
I walk inside, and I
Can
walk
you repeat it
towards.
again? Again, just I missed. Can you restart, please?
Sure. So as soon as I arrive at my door, I take my keys out, I open the front door, I walk inside towards the kitchen. As soon as I arrive at the kitchen, I put my grocery bags down and I open the fridge. I take out the bottle of juice and I place it on the table. I open the cabinet which has the glasses inside them. I pick a glass, I put it on the table. I open the cap of the bottle, pour the juice into the glass, and replace the cap, put the bottle back in the fridge, and pick up a glass as well as a coaster, and walk outside the kitchen towards my hall. And once I found the sofa, I sit down, place the coaster on the table in front of me, as well as the glass. And once I'm comfortably seated, I pick up the glass once again and take a sip.
Wonderful. So very well said. But do you know what? Your this step, these suggested step will add
Mhm.
lot of billing to the company. Okay. So do you want us as a company to suffer, or you can do something so that you can minimize the cost? Because whatever the steps you have laid out, okay,
Mhm.
just now, it will let the company suffer
Okay.
because you missed a step. Do you know your fridge is still open and
Ah,
you did not
ah.
close the door yet. So that part you have missed. So just one thing. Rest I'm good. Prerna, what do you think about it? Do you have any further question?
Honestly, I'm good with the answers, but I just wanted to know about how's your, like, the question that Gaurav was already asking you, more or less closer to that. How is your adaptability? Like how are you uh, planning, or how, what is your take on understanding different domains? Like you have mentioned banking or medical, and some of
Mhm.
your in your earlier projects. So I just want to it's not a book question, it's an open question. Like, how do you approach when you are in a new domain? Like, for example, tomorrow I might take you into some telecommunication, or maybe some scientific research project, if we may have, right? So if
Mhm.
that domain, that area is unknown to you, so how do you approach those projects, and how do you work on those? Yeah.
Prerna, like I've mentioned earlier, whenever I do jump into a project, the very first thing that I do is a document analysis, and this does not just involve going through gathering requirements, but I also try to understand the domain in which I'm working in. And for this, I not only use whatever information that I can gather from the company, as well as I do my own research to get an understanding. I do a an online search about, for example, like you've mentioned, it's a telecommunication project. I try to Google and read up as much
Mm-hmm.
as I can on that particular field, and what exactly we're trying to target. What is it exactly that we're trying to achieve? So this is why I feel that the first step in starting off a project is always document analysis, because it helps us
Mm-hmm.
not only get a good understanding of who the stakeholders are, but it also gives us a broad idea, or a broad understanding of what exactly the field it is we are working on. So once we get that, after that we can, try to get an
Okay, so
understanding
you
from a
so you do
stakeholder.
have experience in stakeholders management, if I may say.
Yeah, before I get to stakeholder management, I like to do my own personal studies, what I was trying to drive at.
Yeah, I
That's,
totally understood that.
yeah,
Thank you for the answer. I was just
yeah.
coming to my last question
Mhm.
of the session. That do you, have you collaborated with multiple stakeholders, and do you have any experience in stakeholder management?
Yes, so I do have experience in that because I have conducted various interviews and workshops with them to elicit requirements. So yeah, I do have experience in that.
Okay,
In
thank you so much, Ashi. That's it from my side. Thank you for all the answers. Yes, Gaurav.
So yeah, so even I am done. Do you have any question, Ashi?
No, Gaurav, I would just like to say thank you so much for this opportunity that both of you have given me.
Okay. So HRs will get back to you. So we wish you all the best and
Thank you
looking
for your
forward
time.
to for the answer as well. So thank you for your
Thank you
time,
so
Ashi.
much.
Bye bye
Thank you so
and
much.
talk
Thank
to
you.
you